everybody. I'm Vera Stewart, and welcome to the Very Vera Show. You know, I love when special guests come on. It's always a lot of fun when I have someone as passionate and enthusiastic about cooking as I am. Chef Troy Gagliardo is with me today, and Pseudo Southern.
That's right.
Chef Troy, you got to tell us what's going on here with the name of your cookbook.
Well, Pseudo Southern, it doesn't necessarily mean like fake Southern food. It just means I'm putting like twists on some Southern classics. So, you know, the book came about. I have a Southern side of my family and an Italian side of my family. So I kind of got the best of both worlds, so I kind of mashed them up.
Wow, mashed them up. That's a good analogy as well. Well, we're going to do some things from the book and also some other things that you just wanted to get creative with today, but I want to welcome you here from Charlotte. You're also on TV in Charlotte. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm on WCCB Charlotte. Have been, just started my 9th year there. Troy's Everyday Eats, so we do a live setting, and we do, you know, cooks, recipes for the home cook, you know, nothing fancy, but stuff that you would kind of get in a restaurant, but you can make at home.
Oh, wow. Well, we're going to actually do a little bit of that today because we've got 3 different recipes. What are we doing today?
Well, we're going to do, you know, to kind of pay homage to both sides of the family, we're going to do a Hoppin John risotto. So we're taking a classic Southern dish like rice and beans or rice and peas,
right,
and we're going to turn it into something Italian. We're going to cook risotto in the risotto style.
Wow.
We're going to top that with a chicken, a buttermilk fried chicken that we're going to use a dry brine, and then toward the end we're going to do a bourbon molasses tiramisu.
Did you say tiramisu?
I did say. Well, I said bourbon first.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of went in one ear and out the other, but this looks great. So where do you want me to kind of prepare this dry brine?
Right. And
you know, I told you, I Googled this because
right.
I thought, now the last thing I need to do is go on the air and say we're doing a dry brine, when to me, brine, I'm filling up my sink with water and
right.
I'm throwing the whole chicken down there.
Yeah, and you can do it that way, but you know, you got to start with the hot water and then you cool it down and all that. So we've just removed the water and it has the same effect. So essentially we've got salt in there.
Okay.
And then we're going to add some sugar and then the flavoring. So we've got a little bit of black pepper.
Okay, and that was a kosher salt.
Kosher salt.
Just regular granulated sugar.
Table pepper, and then crushed red pepper for a little bit of heat, and then some paprika.
Okay,
and that's going to give it a real good color and some smokiness, kind of add some smokiness to it. Now these flavors are going to penetrate the meat, so they're going to get in there. Fresh thyme, which I love fresh thyme with chicken.
Oh, absolutely.
And then hot sauce. Now you say, okay, it's a dry brine, but you're adding something wet to it. So this is going to help it stick to it.
Oh,
and like I said, all these flavors are going to get inside the chicken.
Well, you know, everybody has their own little thing that they love to do, but I certainly recommend that, you know, taking into account the fact that you put a little bit of liquid in there is going to make it adhere to the chicken a little bit better too, right?
That's exactly right. And it's also going to kind of start breaking down some of the salt and some of the sugar. And doesn't it smell great?
Oh, wow.
And that's going to get right in the chicken.
Going right on the chicken.
Now, we're using some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And, you know, these are, you know, hormone-free, no antibiotics, all that fun stuff. You can use with the skin on it, but I prefer it without. And I'll show you later on, you know, the importance of the steps of breading to make sure you got that nice, because when I think about fried chicken, I think about this nice crispy crust. So if you don't have, you know, the skin on it to help with that, then you've got to kind of coerce it into being crispy.
Well, now, if somebody wanted to use chicken breast, can you do chicken breast with this recipe?
You most certainly can. The reason why I use chicken thighs, number one, they're moist.
Right, that would be my preference.
You have a little more margin for error with chicken thighs. You know, with the breast, they're going to tend to dry out on you just a little bit.
I'm so glad you said that, and let me tell you why. Because all those years in catering, when we would be on a budget where we had to do a chicken breast, I would get so nervous about that dish. So you're completely right. That natural moisture in the thigh really works well.
And you have different muscles in a thigh too. You know, you have the different, it's not just one solid muscle. So, you know, they're all going to cook at the same rate, but you can have these different textures. So now what we're going to do is you would put this on in the refrigerator for at least 12 to 24 hours.
And that's what we did.
And then
we got ready for you.
This is what it looks like when it's done. Now you can see.
God, it has really gone through it.
Now what a brine does is it actually rehydrates the cells. The salt and the sugar have this, I'm not a scientist, but they have this reaction to where they rehydrates the cells, the salt and the sugar combine to do this magical thing. And what it is, it's actually pulling moisture out, but it's adding more to it.
And we want to put some of your seasoning in that dredge too.
You know
right?
what? I'm so glad you said that.
I know. That's what we're looking out for each other because I love this seasoning.
A little bit of, it's got oregano, black pepper, a little bit of garlic, some cayenne, some coriander in it. So we'll get that all mixed up. We're going to re-dredge that.
Okay.
That other one. Now, I didn't rinse the chicken. So you've got flavor on top of flavor. Whenever you're cooking, you've got to make sure you get those layers in there. So we'll get this dredged and get it in there.
Well, we're going to keep working on dredging the chicken. Then when we come back, we're going to start frying. We're going to get started on this Hoppin John risotto. I cannot wait for that. So come back with us in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and wow, I mean, this is some fried chicken right here, Chef. While we were away, you got the brined chicken that you had dredged in the flour, and then you dipped it in buttermilk?
Buttermilk, and then we went back into the flour, and you can see how thick that crust is on it. It almost looks like there's skin on it, right?
Yes.
You know, and it's hard and crispy, and it's going to be perfect for this dish.
Oh, man. All right. Well, now we're going to get started on the Hoppin John, right?
Okay, right.
So we'll walk over here and...
Now we've got some bacon going already. So Hoppin John traditionally is it's just a rice and peas dish or a rice and beans dish. Every culture has their own, right?
Right.
So what I decided to do was kind of take it and make it Southern and Italian. So we're going to use risotto with this instead of just like regular long grain rice. So for the Hoppin John, to get the base going, we've got some bacon starting to get nice and crispy. Ooh. We're going to add some onions, just some white onions, whatever you're feeling. And then I've got some poblanos. You could use green bell pepper. You could eliminate it if you want to, but I like the heat that this brings. So I've already kind of de-seeded them. And you want to, whenever you're cutting stuff like this, you want to just make sure that you're cutting it in a size that's going to be manageable when it gets to the plate. So like the bacon, the onions, they're all kind of similar sizes. So that way they're all going to kind of cook even. They're going to taste
green is such a great color too.
And a poblano, it's I think some people get freaked out by them. I use jalapenos in this dish as well.
Really?
But the poblano is just a little softer to me. It's one step up from a green bell pepper.
Okay, do y'all notice how he's talking to me and using this knife at the same time?
And I've still got all my fingers.
And you still have all your fingers, absolutely.
So we're going to add some of these in here. Coming in sharp, be careful. All right, so we'll get all these in here.
I love this.
Now, do you smell that already?
I do.
Now, the thing is, black-eyed peas, they have their own taste, they have their own texture, and if you don't like them, you just don't like them.
No.
But
for
Hoppin John, you can't use anything else. I'm sorry. You just have to use
substitutions.
No substitutions. You can, I guess it's your dish, but a little garlic. And then once all that kind of gets perfumed and kind of infused, then we'll add some of the black-eyed peas. Now, these just frozen that we just kind of let thaw.
Okay.
That's about a pound.
And do you recommend that instead of canned?
You can use canned. I recommend frozen. I like frozen a little better. I think the texture's a little better. You can control what the texture is. If you like them softer, you can cook them a little bit longer. Canned, once you do the canned, once you put them in there, they're the texture that they are, and if you overdo them, you're going to overdo them. Now, the thing with these is, we're going to cover this with a few things, but we definitely got to season it. We're going to put some salt in there, just some regular kosher salt. Nice big old pinch.
Wow.
Let's do another one. And then definitely some pepper.
Now, between the smell of that fried chicken over there and this.
Okay, now just think about this going with that. So the way this whole dish is going to come together, we're going to use risotto, which is a technique. It's not a rice. We're going to use a boreal rice, or you could use carnaroli rice. So it's not long grain rice, but it's cooked nice and slow with liquid, and it gets nice and creamy. So we're going to have this with the chicken, and then we're going to top it all with the Alabama white sauce. Which, if you don't know what that is, you definitely got to stay around and figure it out.
Okay, so that's right, because we're not going to tell you now because you're going to stick with us.
All right, and then these are fire roasted tomatoes. If you've never used those, give those a try.
Oh, man.
Because, sometimes, when you want that extra little smokiness or whatever, you might roll it around the grill and, get some of that smokiness on there. Well, this is already done for you. So
Okay.
we've strained some of that out. We strained some of the liquid out, and I'll show you what that's going to be for. So to get this going, we're going to crank the heat up a
let's
little
crank
bit.
that up.
And then we're going to add our chicken stock. You could use pork stock. You could use vegetable stock.
Okay.
You could use just plain water if you really want to. So we're going to go in with about 5 or 6 cups now.
Okay.
And we're going to get that brought up to a boil, and then that's going to simmer for about 30 minutes.
Alrighty.
All right, so we've already seasoned the vegetables, but we haven't seasoned anything else. So we can add just a little bit more salt. See if you
He just wants y'all to know that we're not going crazy with sodium up here.
No, but the thing is that, you know, if you got, you know, stock that's low in sodium, you definitely got to season as you go.
Right, because that was quite a bit of liquid.
Exactly, and it's going to cook down, and a lot of times, you know, if you wait until the very end, it's going to be salty. Sometimes it can be salty either way. If you put it in and you let it boil and reduce,
Right.
which we're not going to do, it'll get too salty for you.
Well, and back to the name of your cookbook, the Pseudo Southern and the Southern and Italian
Right.
mix in your family. This just with the tomatoes, you've got the whole Italian theme, and then the black-eyed peas, there's nothing more Southern.
Right.
We fried this chicken over here, so we're getting really close. So when we come back from the break, we're gonna finish with the risotto. We're gonna start on that bourbon molasses tiramisu. Oh my gosh. Definitely some pseudo Southern going on in this kitchen. So come back with us in just a few minutes.
Ask Vera is brought to you by Georgia Bank and Trust and Southern Bank and Trust.
Sharon McBride in North Augusta writes, how do you create a lattice crust for a pie? Well, Sharon, I've got a demonstration for you. Using a pre-made or handmade pie crust, take a pastry cutter and cut 1/2 inch strips. Then take the longest strip from the center and space those about 1/2 inch apart. Then cut the rest of the strips from the other half of the dough and alternate your pre-laid strips every other one and start weaving the new strips to go across. Once you've finished the process and you have even distribution throughout, you want to press the edges down and then cut the excess with your pie cutter. Sprinkle with a little bit of granulated sugar, place in a preheated oven, and you have the perfect pie. Sharon, I hope that answered your question, and if you have a question for me, send it to askvera@wjbf.com. Want to remind you that the Fireside Outdoor Kitchens is doing cooking classes every Tuesday from 6 to 8 and every first Friday for ladies' night only. Go to register at firesideoutdoorkitchens.com. Welcome back, everybody, and I'm with Chef Troy, and we have been busy.
Real busy.
While you guys were on break watching commercials. We were doing our thing in the kitchen. So what were you up to?
All right, so this whole process with the black-eyed peas, we're doing a Hoppin John risotto. So the Hoppin John essentially is the black-eyed peas, and you know it's always served with rice. So I said, why don't we combine the two? So basically, what we did, we started with some bacon, some poblano pepper, some onions, some garlic, got all that mixed in with some fire-roasted tomatoes that we drained. So we took the juice that we drained from the tomatoes and put it in here. We took out some of the liquid because now it's flavored with all the black-eyed peas and all that. Now that we're using for our liquid for our risotto. Now risotto is a process. It's not, everybody thinks, you know, not everybody, but people think that risotto is actually the rice. The rice is a boreal rice or carnaroli. It's a short grain rice that's really starchy. That's where all this creaminess comes from. So what we've been doing is we've been taking a ladle or two at a time and dumping it right in here.
A little bit.
Yeah, we're going to put most of the rest of that in here. And just from start to finish with the risotto, it's going to take about 21 minutes at about a medium-high heat. You want it kind of burbling. We've turned it down just a little bit here, just so we wouldn't overcook it while we work on our other stuff.
Okay, but now you told me a wives' tale.
You're going to make me tell this,
Why did a husband's tale?
Well, because it's probably not true. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Touche. All right, so risotto, there's a wives' tale that you can only stir it clockwise.
Y'all write that down.
So, and I don't know what happens because I've been so scared to ever go counterclockwise that I have a spoon at home that's actually slanted
That is
from me
crazy.
being right-handed.
I want you to take a picture of that when you get back
I will.
and send that to me. That's crazy. Okay, so we can let that cook because I'm dying to get started on the dessert.
I just want to add just a little bit of salt to this because we haven't seasoned this at all, and just a touch of pepper, and then we're just going to let it hang out.
Simmer down.
Ready to go. All right.
All righty. So I was busy during the break with this filling that is unbelievable. Cream cheese that I fluffed up really well. Then we've got granulated sugar, dark molasses, almond extract. What am I missing?
Touch of cream.
A touch of cream and this nice creamy mocha colored filling.
Right, and there's a touch of bourbon in there as well.
Oh, right, that's right.
Daniels.
Right, okay.
So this is our bourbon molasses tiramisu. So pretty traditional filling, right? You know, and that's going to be nice and soft. We're going to put this in the refrigerator to get all, you know, formed up. But we've got to do these layers. Now, the lady fingers, essentially, it's just a cookie that's a hard sponge.
And Fresh Market always has them.
Always has them. So what we've got here is some cold coffee, some dark molasses. Get this.
Here's my
Here,
little handy tool. I love to use this.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
I kind of made a mess on the counter when I was doing the filling with this, but you said it's not cooking if you're not making a mess.
That's exactly right. Now see, that's the good stuff because it's nice and thick. So we're going to add the bourbon to this as well. So this is our liquid that we're going to dip our ladyfingers in. So we'll get this all mixed in. So there is a little technique to the ladyfinger thing, and you know I learned this just by working at a few Italian restaurants and kind of playing around.
That smell! I'm getting a
well,
little
I smell
woozy
bourbon,
here.
so I automatically think it's like dinner time or something. So we'll get this going, and now all that's mixed in. So, and it's strong. Now don't think it's going to be too strong because all this, the cream cheese is going to mellow it out.
Right.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a ladyfinger, and there's one side sugar and one side that's not.
Okay.
All right. So I always start sugar side first. I drop, flip, and pull.
Okay.
Because if you go any more
Sugar
than
side
that,
first.
Sugar side first, drop, flip, pull.
Pull.
And then let it drain a little bit. Because if you go too much farther than that,
and you want
sugar side down.
Sugar side down.
On the first layer. And I know this might just be some of my stupid rules, but that's kind of how it works.
Oh.
Drop, flip.
I don't want to, if you've been doing it and it's working, then I don't want to mess up. And this is an 8 by 8 inch pan.
Right. And you're going to have 12, so a pack of ladyfingers comes 24. So this works out perfect in the 8 by 8. You're going to have 12 and 12, 12 on the bottom, 12 on the top. Here, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to turn it.
Turn some of those around. Okay, so we're good. And
Here,
while
we'll do
you
like this.
finish that, I'm going to start this layering because this is just going to spread, right?
Yep, it's going to spread on
And
the top.
we're going to use half of this on it and just spread that around, and then we'll do a completely second layer.
And it doesn't have to be complete, you know, completely
Decadent for sure, unusual absolutely. So we're going to keep working on this. We're going to be busy again. No taking breaks here at the Very Vera Show. So we're going to keep working on this, and when we come back, plating and because, you know, you're the guest, but I'm the one that gets to taste today, and tasting. So come back with us in just a few minutes. Oh, this is going to be great. Welcome back, everybody. And Chef, I've had the best time today.
This has been a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And while we were away, we got through with that tiramisu. It just layered up so beautifully. I just cannot wait to try that in just a few minutes. And then you made a Bama sauce.
Right, to go on top of that. So what goes in that, it's real simple. Nothing I do is overcomplicated. Mayonnaise, honey, some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of cayenne, salt and pepper, and that's it. And it's, you know, it's not thick, it's not thin, it's right in between.
It just looks great.
So that's what's gonna go over the top of the fried chicken.
Well, let's get busy plating this.
All right, so what we've got here, this is our Hoppin John, essentially. This is the black-eyed peas that we've cooked down with the bacon, the tomatoes, the poblano peppers, some onions. So we're gonna spread this out on one side of the plate.
Oh, wow.
So essentially we turned the liquid that we cooked the black-eyed peas in, we turned that into a risotto. So
let's use that
same method that you would normally do risotto, but normally you use, like, you know, chicken stock or whatever, but we've used this.
Oh, and it just really thickened up nicely.
It did, you know, and that's the thing about doing it nice and slow, and you having your liquid warm when you're putting it in there, stirring it clockwise so everything's okay. So we're gonna put that down.
Put that down.
So now this is a man's plate. Now I know I'm plating this for you, but this is a man's portion. So these were the chicken thighs that we fried. We did the dry brine on them.
Right.
And that was, you know, salt and sugar and some thyme and some spices.
And does this go next?
That goes on top. We're just going to drizzle a little bit of that over the top. Ooh. So once we dry brine it, we put it, floured it. We let it sit for a little bit, right into the buttermilk, back into the flour, into the oil, and it's crispy. A little bit of
spring onion chives on top, and then I want to suggest a little bit of the hot paprika from the salt table to go on top of that. And now we're going to come over here to this tiramisu.
All right. So, you know, fat guy likes desserts, and I had to find a way to kind of mix up the Italian dessert into, you know, when I think of the South, I think bourbon and molasses. So why not incorporate that into tiramisu filling, which was just cream cheese and just a little bit of cream and some sugar. Super simple to put together. All these dishes are so easy to put together. You just got to give them a little love.
Yeah, well, and I'm just loving this. Of course, I like a little bit of messy on the plate. Yeah. So we've garnished this with the cocoa and the shaved chocolate. And I love the place setting today from the cottage shop in Savannah with the mat, and that's actually a towel that I've used as part of my place setting there. So we're going to sit that there, and that is a man's portion, and I know many men in my family that would enjoy that. But I want to say again, thank you so much for being with us. His recipes are on your website.
Yeah, which is cheftroy.net, and you can always follow me on Twitter and Facebook.
And on ours at VeryVera.com. And I want to remind you that no matter what you do, do it in good taste. And I'm going to start with the taste of this. I want you to come back and join me again. And I want all of you to come back and join us next weekend for another episode of the Very Vera Show.